Hello all, I'm Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. In 2026, I set myself a goal to read all of the books on my seasonal TBRs. Even though it is June 1st and many people consider this summer, it's not technically summer yet. So this will be the final month that I have to work on my spring TBR, which I will link up above. Here is a look at the 8 books that are on my spring TBR, and at this point of filming, I have read 3 of them, which means I have 5 books remaining. In this vlog, I'm going to be tackling 3 of them because trying to read the remaining 5 in a week is just not going to happen. But let's go ahead and talk about the ones that I am going to be reading. So first up is going to be The Weaver Bride by Lydia Gregovic. This is a YA fantasy romance, and I have started this one. So I'll talk about this one more in just a minute, but this will be the first book. Then I am going to be reading The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love by India Holton. This is a cozy fantasy romance about 2 rival ornithologists on the hunt for a rare magical bird. I've heard really good things, so this one will be the second book for this vlog. And then I'm going to close the vlog out with Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I have never read a book by Elsie Silver, so this will be my first book by her. I am looking forward to it, although I have heard that maybe this series is not as good as like the Chestnut Springs series, but it's the one that I have, so this is the one I'm starting with. So I am looking forward to reading that one as well. So we are going very pink themed for this vlog. I do obviously have 2 other books that are on that spring TBR that I'm going to attempt to get read over the course of June, but we're just going to see how that goes. Anyway, these are going to be our focus. So as I mentioned, I have already started The Weaver Bride by Lydia Gregovic. So let me go ahead and actually just put a screenshot of the summary. You can pause the video right here if you would like to read the full summary, so go ahead and do that now. But basically we are following Lovett, who is a silk witch, and in her world, in order for her to live her best life, she needs to marry a weaver. Lovett, though, comes from a less high-class background than many other silk witches, so she is finding it very difficult to find a weaver husband, and she is offered a chance to potentially find a husband if she agrees to help out a man named Elliot, who wants her to kind of pretend to be of higher status in order to suss out who may have killed his sister. So that's kind of just a quick overview. At the point that I am at, which is basically 17% of the way through the book, I think at this point. Let me kind of see if I can figure out even what chapter. I was listening to it on audio while I did like some tasks this morning. So I think I am on chapter 10 maybe? Nope, not there yet. Let me see. Okay, I'm on chapter 7. I had to like flip through a little bit. So chapter 7 is where I'm at. This is page 79, so I'm almost 100 pages into it. We have basically just been starting off the book with what's in the summary. So everything that's in the summary has happened thus far at this point in the book. And this is like a competition type book. It's called The Vainglory. If you read the synopsis, you would have seen that. But basically, Lovett has been entered into the Vainglory under false pretenses. She's pretending to be someone else in order to suss out who killed Elliot's sister in the last Vainglory, which happened the year before. So she has arrived at the house where this competition is going to take place, and that's what's happened so far. So I've read that much of it. I have this much left. My goal for today is going to be to get 50% of the way through this. I feel like that is completely doable. It's pretty good size font on these pages. So I'm hoping I can get 50% through and then finish this off tomorrow. But so far, this is an interesting setup. Well, I say interesting. We've all read competition type books before. This is kind of similar in vein to Red Queen in terms of someone pretending to be someone they're not and entering a competition. So I would say it's got a little bit of influence from that book. I didn't love that series, so obviously I hope that this one does things a little bit differently. But yes, I am very curious to see what the ultimate outcome of this book is. Like, is she going to win the competition? Is she going to fall for Noe, who is the guy that she is entering this competition to potentially win? Is she going to fall for Elliot? I don't know. We have a lot of questions to be answered, obviously, because I'm only 70 pages into it or so. So yes, this is the one that I'm starting with, as I've mentioned several times already in this intro. Apologies. But yeah, so far it's fine. So I will let you know how things go. Now, on the agenda for this week, I have a few things that I want to do. I'm actually going to be creating a weekly to-do list, and then I'm going to be setting about, over the course of the week, checking off those tasks. I am taking 2 classes this summer. They are those do it at your own pace classes, so I don't have to have things done by like a set time. But in my district, if I get plus 15 hours in addition to my master's, I can move over to like the next tier of paychecks, which obviously would be a raise. So I want to go ahead and get that done this school year, so that next contract I will be on that new tier of pay scale. So that's kind of my goal. The 2 classes I'm taking, one has to do with like behavior, and then one has to do with technology. So just kind of some things that piqued my interest a little bit. So I am going to be starting that this week in terms of looking at everything I have to do for the class and laying out when, or I should say what, I'm going to have to do in each class, and then kind of sorting out when I'm going to actually complete those tasks. So that's something that I want to do today. I've actually already cleaned out my little hamster's cage. I did that earlier while I was listening to this. So that task is actually checked off. I also want to start another cross-stitch project. So I'd mentioned in a previous vlog, I got a like cross-stitch bookmark kit, and I did finish this one. So this one's finished. So I want to go ahead and start a second one. So I have a couple things that I want to do to get ready to start with that. And then, yeah, we're just kind of going to be chilling the rest of the week. So that's the goal for this vlog. Chill vlog while I read fantasy romances and contemporary romances, and hopefully it will be a good week. So I will come back and share thoughts with you once I am halfway through The Weaver Bride. So other than that, I have nothing else to say. Let's just go ahead and get reading. Okay, y'all, I have a couple of reading updates. First, I have finished The Weaver Bride, and I quite enjoyed this. This is, as I've mentioned, a YA fantasy. Definitely takes some inspiration from Red Queen, but also the selection in terms of the setup. We are following Lovett, who takes on a false persona to become a competitor, if you will, in the Vainglory, in the hopes to solve the murder of Elliot's sister. But she also has an ulterior motive. She wants to find a husband so that she is not sent to the cloisters, which is where unwed silk witches are sent if they are not married by the time they're 21. So that's kind of the setup. This had a very nice sense of suspense in the writing, and the mystery itself was quite well done. There were some twists and turns that I didn't personally see coming. We do have a competition aspect. It's more of an individual competition as opposed to something like the Hunger Games. So we are getting Lovett's POV as she works her way through the trials that she needs to go through and win in order to continue moving on throughout this competition. And as I said, there was just a nice sense of suspense in the writing. Kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat. There are some things that happened to some of the competitors that just kind of ramped up the sense of mystery and unease, and I just felt like this was really well written. So I would recommend this. I mean, it's not anything spectacular necessarily, but I felt like it was a unique magic system, a unique world. I enjoyed the mystery, as I said, and I enjoyed the characters. So I am going to be reading the sequel. I thought the sequel was already out, but it's actually not coming out till like September. So I will read that when it comes out because I did really, really enjoy this and I would recommend. So this one is done. I'm giving it 4 stars. And I have also started the Ornithologist Field Guide to Love by India Holton. I am not quite halfway through at this point. I am on chapter 13, which is page 157. This one has such a good sense of banter. The characters in this book are an absolute hoot. We are following Beth and Devin, who are rival ornithologists, and they are on the hunt to find this bird in order to win Birder of the Year, and it will also grant them tenure in their current like professor position. So they are competing against each other, but in the first part of the book they wind up having to team up because they are both left behind by the people that they usually work with. So they kind of team up to make their way back to England, which is where this bird has been sighted, and they are very much into each other, even though they think the other doesn't like them. So it's like that kind of setup. The yearning in this is really well done. The inner monologues are hilarious, particularly Beth's POV. And there's a lot of birds in this book, obviously, but they're birds that are not in existence in reality. So they are made up fantastical birds. And the adventure that these two have already been through just in the first half has been a romping good time. So I'm really having fun with this, and I'm hoping to finish this one today, and I'm betting it's going to get a pretty high rating because I'm really having fun with it and enjoying it a lot. We have met Devin's cousin, Gabriel, who is a geographer, and I know that the second book in the series is like the geographer's map to love or something like that. So I'm wondering if he is the character in that one. I'll double check that just by looking at like the synopsis for the second one. But he's very dry, very like just over Devin and Devin's shenanigans, and he's quite funny in his own way. So if he is the main male character in the next book, I think that one will also be a lot of fun to read. But anyway, so far I'm having a great time with this, and I'm looking forward to seeing how everything's going to come together. There is definitely like an element here where these two are being like forced together. Like this is intentional, even though they are not aware of it. We as the reader are aware of it. So it's just been a really fun time and I'm enjoying it. So yes, hopefully this will be done today and I will give you full thoughts then, but so far it's going great. Highly recommend just based on the first half, the banter, the adventure, the humor, very well done. And I'm wanting to read a little bit more from her because I know she's written some other series as well. So far this has been a great introduction to India Holton's writing, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the story ends. So I will let you know once I have finished. Okay, I once again have a couple of reading updates because I have actually finished 2 books. So I've finished everything I wanted to read for this vlog. But let's back up a little bit and let's talk about the Ornithologist Field Guide to Love by India Holton. This was very charming. I had a lot of fun with this. There are some laugh out loud moments. Devin and Beth are a hoot, and this was a very good time. I would highly recommend the audiobook. The narrator does a fantastic job of bringing both of these characters to life, especially Beth's inner monologue. She is very funny, even though she doesn't realize that she is, and I just had a good time with this. I'm going to give it 4 stars. The reason it's not getting a 5 is because I didn't have like any kind of emotional punch that I usually need for something to be a 5-star, but I highly would recommend this. This was a lot of fun to read, and I'm looking forward to reading the next book in the series. And I was correct. The cousin, Devin's cousin, is the main, or the MMC, I should say, for the next book. And he is a geographer as opposed to an ornithologist. So yeah, he is the main character, the main male character in that sequel, which I figured he would be. So I will definitely give that one a read. This one, again, was just a lot of fun, very charming, and I would highly recommend, especially if you want just a very easy to read, enjoyable fantasy romance. So yes, this one was a winner, 4 stars for this one. I then started reading Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is the first book by Elsie Silver that I have read, and I liked this one a lot as well. I'm also giving this one 4 stars. This is a very easy to read cowboy romance. There is not a lot of, I don't want to say there's not a lot of depth, because there are definitely some topics that are covered in here that are important. We are following 2 characters who have known each other for a very long time. So we have Ford and we have Rosie. Rosie is Ford's best friend's little sister in a typical fashion, much like this one. Okay, same kind of setup, because she was also his best friend's little sister. So very similar setup to Done and Dusted. This one, though, tackles a couple of heavier topics. So sexual harassment in the workplace is one of them. The death of a parent is another. We are following Ford as he moves back to Rose Hill to set up a music studio. Ford is the son of a famous guitarist, rock star, whatever you want to call him. So he comes from a lot of money. He used to vacation in Rose Hill, which is where this takes place, and that's how he met Rosie and her brother West. So that's kind of how they know each other. Rosie is the one who, unfortunately, is sexually harassed at work. She basically tells the person who did it that she's going to report him to HR, but he gets the jump on it, and she winds up being wrongfully terminated and losing her job. So she comes back home to Rose Hill, where she becomes Ford's assistant, if you will. He's trying to get this recording studio up and running. So she starts working for him, and romance ensues. On top of this, Ford, on his first day back in Rose Hill, has a 12-year-old girl show up on his doorstep, and she tells him that he is her biological father, because when Ford was younger, he donated sperm for some quick money, and he now has a daughter he was not aware of. And the storyline with the death of a parent comes from the daughter. Her name is Cora, and she's a hoot. I really enjoyed her. So this one reminded me a lot of this one that I read in the last vlog that I did, because this one also is about a dad and a daughter and that kind of setup. So very similar vibes to the Rebel Blue Ranch series. But anyway, this was very readable, a lot of fun. I enjoyed the banter between Rosie and Ford, and I liked the discussions about those more important topics. Is this the best thing ever written? No. And I don't know if this is necessarily a favorite series by those who have read a lot of Elsie Silver. If you have read her other series, let me know. I am curious about the Chestnut Springs series, because I have heard that people really like that one. When you open up Wild Love, there's actually a little map. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but I'll try to show you. So you can see right here, she has all the different towns, if you will, from her other series. So I know that Emerald Lake is the new one that just came out, and then obviously we have Chestnut Springs, and then there is Blisswater Springs and Ruby Creek, and I would assume those are from other series that she's done, but I don't know enough about her other books to say for sure. But anyway, this was a nice one. I enjoyed it. I will definitely read the second one. The second one focuses on West, who is Rosie's brother. So again, very in line with the other cowboy romance series that I have been reading. But yeah, I enjoyed this. So for my first foray into Elsie Silver, this was a winner. But again, it's not anything absolutely fantastic, so I'm just giving it 4 stars. I had a very good time with it. The audio is well narrated, so I enjoyed that. This one has emails and diary entries that we are reading. So Rosie's diary from when she was younger, we're getting entries from that, and then email exchanges that she and Ford are going back and forth in, and there's a lot of banter in those as well. So I enjoyed this. I got through it very quickly. It's a very fast read, even though it's over 400 pages, and it was a good time. So that is kind of all I have to say about that. I enjoyed it. So overall, this was a very successful seasonal reading vlog because all 3 of these books were 4 stars. Also, the pink. Okay, obviously, I didn't do that intentionally, but it's very funny that they're all pink books. So that is going to conclude this vlog. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. If you made it to the end of the video and would like to leave an emoji to show you were here, you can leave a bird emoji in honor of the Ornithologist Field Guide to Love, which was probably my favorite book from this vlog. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.